What on earth happened in Johannesburg? Can you please help me make sense of that? Because that was box office stuff. And spoiler alert, if you don't want to know the results, congratulations to the Lions, who pulled off a fantastic win against Glasgow with a man down for, well, effectively for 60 minutes of that 80-minute match. They were playing at least a man down. They spent 52 minutes with 14 men on the pitch, and they spent a further 8 minutes with 13 men on the pitch due to 2 yellow cards and a red card. And how they managed to win by 44 points to 21 is amazing. Resolute, committed, heroic defence and fantastic counter-attacking rugby. But question I want to ask straight away, was that, how much do you put that down to the Lions being really good, and how much do you put it down to Glasgow being uncharacteristically poor, or dare I even say the word choking? I kind of don't know how to assess it. I think there's probably an element of both there, and I don't want to take away from what was a fantastic Lions performance. That is where the focus for me is, and where it should be. But it's really changed the complexion of the table, hasn't it? The Bulls and Munster and Leinster are saying, thank you, Lions. Meanwhile, Edinburgh, their bad night last night has just got even worse because their rivals from up the road, Glasgow, haven't done them a favour, and it means that it's going to be a tense time for Edinburgh next weekend, among others. So, yeah, loads to talk about in this one. I'm not quite sure where to start. Let me just start by saying I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. And, yeah, tell me what you think. Give the video a thumbs up to help spread the word. This competition is building to a proper crescendo, isn't it, the URC? It's been ace. And the fact that you can have a team that, what were the Lions, 10th coming into this match today, beating the team that were top convincingly, tells you everything about where this competition is. But let's start with the first half. So the way I watched this is, yeah, I was focused on the Premiership in England for this 3 o'clock kickoff. So I did not watch this game live, full disclosure. At half-time in the Premiership games, I had this game recorded and I watched and skimmed through what I could, the first half basically. And that was quite easy to do because the first half was relatively uneventful. The score at half-time, just to remind you, was 8 points to 7. And I was thinking, oh, well, that's all right. I've dodged a bullet there, watching the Premiership rather than this. I'll talk about the cards for a second. Yeah, Ruan Fenter got a yellow card early and then got a red card, and not a second yellow card. It was a straight red card for a dangerous high tackle. High tackle with force is what the referee says. I mean, it was probably worthy of a yellow. You could have argued under the laws. Some refs give it as a red, fine, whatever. Point being, at that point, I'm sure Glasgow fans were probably thinking, right, it's there for the taking now. Lions fans were probably thinking, oh, well, we've hung on in the first half, but we may lose it in the second. And that was even more the case when there was a second yellow card. 2 minutes after the red card came a yellow card. So the Lions knew they were going to be playing the first 8 minutes of the second half with 13 men on the pitch. And all that chat at half-time from Glasgow would have been, right, we've got to make this count now. We have to make this count. And well, they started the second half, and what I did after the Premiership was done, after I did my Premiership video, which is in the channel as well, like all of them, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I've then gone back and watched the second half of this, and my goodness me, the first half, second half, chalk and cheese. But the one thing that's there for the whole 80 minutes is just heroic defence from the Lions. Such commitment, such physicality, some whopping shots going in all over the shop, and smart decisions as well. Like the decisions from the Lions on when to go in and jackal over the ball and try and slow it down, and when to just get on your feet and get in the defensive line. It was really smart. And I talked earlier, after the Bulls' convincing win against Benetton, about how good the Bulls' attack is, but how there are some frailties defensively. If you could take the Bulls' attack and the Lions' defence, you've got something serious there. I mean, that said, the Lions can play. And the Lions don't make sense to me, in the sense that I watch them sometimes and they seem quite average. Watch them other times and it's like, oh my God, this is like watching Toulouse or Canterbury Crusaders back in their heyday. Well, the heyday being like last year. They're just like playing some incredible rugby. They have just got wheels all over the pitch, and when it clicks, my goodness me, it clicks. On the flip side, Glasgow, I mean, yeah, let me get the negatives from them out of the way a little bit, because I am slightly concerned. We saw a couple of lovely touches from Sione Tuipulotu when he put in, can't remember who scored the try. Anyway, in the second half, he put him in with a lovely little fake out the back, little flat pass, put him through. Lovely touches, but Sione Tuipulotu is not quite the same player since he's come back from injury. And outside him in the centre, Stafford McDowell, he's a robust centre, runs hard lines, but he's not going to bust a team open. And when you've got a side down to 13 men, you want an outside centre who's a bit of a creative spark, can get on that outside break. And just bearing in mind, Glasgow they've got good wingers as well. And yeah, they just couldn't seem to get them the ball in the right amount of space. They need someone at 10 to grab the team by the scruff of the neck as well. So I don't know. I mean, I'm saying all this, and they were top of the table before this match, and they're still going to get a home quarter final in the knockouts. But I guess it's like momentum, isn't it? And Glasgow are thinking, we'll have a home quarter final, but we've possibly blown the chance of a home semi-final if we should get there. And they're really, really good at Scotstoun. Equally, they have never won in South Africa. I think that's right. They've never won in the URC in South Africa. So psychologically, if they have to travel to the Bulls or to the well, they're not going to travel to the Stormers in the quarterfinal. But if they end up playing a South African team at some point, or just going away from home, they're psychologically 2 defeats on the road in South Africa. It could be a dent to them, so that they're going to have to get back on the road next week, 2 weeks time, and put things right. But let's focus on the Lions, because that is the story of this match. I mean, I haven't even mentioned the fact that before the game, the captain, Marius Lowe, was out before the match, injured. Shatuka, after 10 minutes, went off injured. Then you had Ruben Fenter, yellow card, red card. You had another yellow card just before half-time. 1 try apiece, 8-7. And to finish and play the second half the way they did and score 5 tries in that second period while down a man and for 8 minutes of it, 2 men, and bearing in mind that at the start of the second half, Glasgow scored. So Lions were down 2 men, Glasgow scored, and you sort of thought, right, here it goes. But as I say, the commitment and the physicality that they brought, and it was just a masterclass in counter-attack. And that started from a great defence. You can't counter-attack brilliantly unless you're tenacious in defence. They did what they needed to do defensively, and then when they had the opportunities, took them. And like I say, wheels. Ed Will van der Merwe has got some proper wheels. And Morne van den Berg. Right, here's another question. Is Morne van den Berg in line for a Springbok test cap? Surely. Every time I see him, he's absolute live wire. He was up against Horn, who's a Scottish international scrum half, and he made Horn look like he was playing in slow motion. He's just rapid and gets stuck in and gets involved around the park as well, very much like Faf de Klerk a few years ago. Now, Faf de Klerk still, I'm not knocking him, he's still World Cup winning player, incredible player, but if you want to evolve the scrum half position for the Springboks, Morne van den Berg looks dynamite. Is that just me looking at, little snapshots of games and looking at a one-off game like this, or do you agree? Does he look like he could be the boy? He's just got that zip about him, that pace that he plays at, and I think that's going to match, particularly with the law changes that that World Rugby are bringing in. It's going to emphasise the pace. It's going to emphasise like a 9 that can tap and go quickly from a free kick. That's going to be, and this is a guy that can do that. Weirdly, and this is going off tangent and onto a different topic. I know there's been a lot of talk about the World Rugby's laws depowering the scrum. I think when you look at the Bulls, you look at the Lions, and you look at, to be fair, Stormers and Sharks as well, you start to realise that actually speeding the game up, South Africa can do that as well. And certainly when you watched the Lions, you just thought wheels. And maybe the rest of maybe World Rugby might end up ruining the law change decisions, because it could well play into South Africa's hands. And I think we saw a bit of that in this second half. Yeah, insane counter-attacking. It was Rabs Maxwane as well scored that try. Outrageous offload and then support play and finish from JC Pretorius as well. Sevens player, right? Yeah. Lions like to play it loose, and I hope that's how they go for it. They've got nothing to lose next week. They know they need to go and win, and they've given themselves a chance. That's all they can ask for at this particular point. And yeah, Benetton, Edinburgh looking over their shoulder, and the Bulls are saying thank you very much to the Lions. So are Munster and so are Leinster. That's a game to watch out for. How do Leinster get on against Ulster, and what does that mean to the top four? It's constantly changing picture, and the rugby on show today has been absolutely ace. Loving it, particularly the attacking stuff. Unless, that is, we're talking about Glasgow, who've got some room for improvement. But they are right up there near the top of the table, aren't they? Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you on the next video. It's hard to keep up today.